Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. Just wait a couple of minutes and then maybe another minute or so, and then we jump right in. All right. Okay. So with all the changes that's happening in the international student recruitment space, Ireland is on the pathway to becoming a very firm favorite for study abroad aspirants. Ireland offers its students multiple opportunities to attend globally recognized institutions with a chance of staying back in the country and having a strong return on investment that they have made in the country. As part of Apply Board's mission, we are here to support our recruitment partners from all over the world, from Lebanon, Jordan, India, Russia, Nigeria, and support their students with relevant information to promote different destinations, in this instance, Ireland, and its top universities. The next couple of months will be dedicated to a series of university spotlights. I'm absolutely excited. But for this session, I'm thrilled to announce that our first speaker is from the very prestigious University College Cork, Mr. Michael O'Sullivan. Before we get into the webinar, Michael, if you don't mind moving on to the next slide, is a couple of do's and don'ts how to enhance your webinar experience. Please make sure to take important notes. Yes, we will be sharing a recording of this webinar within 1 to 2 business days. If you have any questions, please do use the Q&A feature that's on the bottom center of your screen to post questions, and we will answer those questions towards the end of the session. So, Michael, over to you. Thank you so much for being part of our University Spotlight. Looking forward.
Thank you very much, Mervyn, and thank you for that very kind introduction. So, hello everyone, my name is Michael O'Sullivan and I work here at University College Cork in the International Office. I'd like to thank Apply Board for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all today. Delighted to see so many participants from various countries, and I know from locations where we have students already on campus from your wonderful countries, and we really want to continue that trend of having great diversification here on campus. It's wonderful to see new locations all the time, and I guess as we progress our relationship with Apply Board, we'll get to engage with so many more recruitment partners in locations that we really want to support student mobility. So thank you for your attention today. I'm going to give you a quick overview of University College Cork. Again, it's a high-level overview, and there's a lot of detail that sits behind it that we will be supporting you in the future. But today is really just to give you a flavour of University College Cork and Cork City. Again, as Marvin said, if you've got any questions, you can use the Q&A function, and we'll have a good Q&A session at the end. So, University College Cork is quite an historic university. So, founded in 1845, it's a comprehensive, research-intensive institution comprising of 4 academic colleges. We deliver a rich tradition of collaborative teaching, research, and scholarship that really does have a true global impact, and I'll talk about that later. UCC is one of Ireland's oldest institutions of higher education, and our historic campus is situated in a UNESCO learning city and serves a community that's both local and global. So from a location perspective, you'll be familiar of where Ireland is based, and then we're located in the south coast. So 2 major cities in Ireland you'll know is Dublin and Cork. So there's probably about a 2-hour train ride between Dublin and Cork. So quick slide on rankings. I know that rankings are important in some locations, some more than others, but it's good just to see where we're sitting in a global context. I say this in context that there's other things that a university is measured by, one of which is rankings, and I'll talk about some of the others later on. So from the Times Higher Education World University Rankings, UCC is in the 301 to 350 band. More importantly, of over 1,500 universities, UCC is ranked 58th in the world for global impact. And that's according to the Times Higher Education ranking. Moving on to the Shanghai ranking, again, we're in the 300 to 400 band. UCC remains joint second in Ireland, and we are the top Irish university for highly cited researchers. So that marries with our research intensive university, and we know that a research intensive university leads to highly competitive taught programs. Based on QS, we're 292 in the world, but we have 9 subject areas that are in the top 200 of the subject rankings. So nursing, our School of Nursing is in the top 33 in the world. Law is top 59 in the world. And agriculture and forestry, which includes food science, is in the top 61 in the world. We're very proud also of our university ranking Green Metric Award, which places UCC 7th in the world from a sustainability perspective. So a quick snapshot of the profile of the university. So some stats. So over 24,000 registered students start every year in September. We have one intake every year, and that's just in September. So we create a little city in our campus with 24,000 students coming onto campus. Supporting those students are 3,200 academic, research, and professional staff. We're very proud that in our 170-odd-year-old history, we have produced over 200 alumni worldwide that continue to be advocates for UCC. The split of the student cohort is 70% undergrad, 20% postgrad, and 10% in adult and continuing education service. Of the 24,000 students, 4,000 are classed as international students from over 104 countries. So it's a very diverse campus, and we want to further diversify that and grow that. Each year, UCC generates over 113 million euro in research income. So the highest single university in Ireland from an research income perspective. Why is that important? Because it drives a very successful university campus with regards to facilities and services that are available to the research students and also the taught students. We have over 250 degree programs across the board, undergraduate, postgraduate, and research. So really, there's something there for everybody. And again, from a sustainability perspective, Institution of the Year based on the Green Gown Awards last year. This is a quick snapshot, bird's eye view of our campus, looking west. So the important thing is that it's a city-based campus. So UCC is based in the city of Cork. It's in a very established neighbourhood, which creates a very safe environment for students to study and live in. The bottom of the screen here, you can't see it here, but the main gate is just there. And there's a 15-minute walk for students to get from the main gate of the university into the central business district of the city. So it's very conveniently located for students. All of our services are on campus, the 4 faculties, the 4 colleges, and also accommodation, our sports arena, student services. So it's like a 42-acre site. There are a couple of satellite campuses based in the city centre. So, for example, the School of Architecture is in the city centre, and the School of Physiotherapy is in the centre. But 99% of all faculties are based on this one single campus. So I mentioned that the university was split into 4 distinct colleges. So students would apply for one of these colleges. So arts and humanities, business and law, medicine and health, science, engineering, and food science. Now, within each of these colleges, there are distinct schools. These schools offer the disciplines that students are seeking. Now, I haven't listed all the schools here. I've listed the ones that would have the most international appeal and the most international students within. So, for example, in humanities, psychology, language, and politics would be extremely popular. In business and law, finance, management and marketing, business information systems, including business analytics. And then under medicine and health, medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing. I mentioned nursing earlier on as the top 33 in the world, and public health, also very important. And then in the STEM college, data science, computing science, engineering, and food science would be the most popular choices for international students, regardless of location, that they're interested in those areas. There are other schools available. As I said, there's 250 programs, so there really is something for everyone. Going back to the green credentials that we're so proud of as a university, not only students, but staff. So it's a student-led, research-informed and practice-focused initiative. So what we want to tell our students globally is that we are a sustainable university. Sustainability is part of everything that we do. We're aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Institutional transformation is inspired by the students and then enabled by leadership. Sustainability and action plan, a climate action plan is in place, again, informed by the students. It really is part of everything that we do, research, teaching, and practice, and we have international recognition to suit that. Now, I mentioned earlier that UCC is a research-intensive university, which informs our taught programs, and in turn, our taught programs inform research opportunities. So students come to our university for taught programs primarily, undergraduate, postgraduate, but there's such a large cohort of research students. So students who are doing either a master's by research, a master's in science, or a PhD. And that places us then in a very unique position as the leading university for research in Ireland and with a real global impact. So UCC offers one of the broadest ranges of research capabilities on a single campus in Ireland, from archaeology to zoology and everything in between. So at the top of the screen, you can see an example just of some of the institutes that we have here at UCC. These are national institutes, but they're based here at UCC. So Insight is the National Research Centre for Data Analytics. Infant is for the neonatal child and all the research attached to that. MARE is for the Marine and Renewable Energy. Environmental Research Institute. APC is the concept of marrying food and medicine and the concept of the microbiome and the gut being the second brain. And then finally, Tyndall is the Photonics and Nanotechnology National Institute. So again, these institutes collaborate internationally. So sometimes UCC, the awareness of UCC is driven through the research opportunities, which in turn drives student mobility and student recruitment into UCC because of the value of the research. So some of the key areas that we focus on. So we launched a research initiative in 2021, looking at 10 indicative areas, which are listed here. This excellence in research scholarship and translation of research into tangible solutions addressing emerging challenges around the globe. So I say it because it really bases the foundation for everything that we do at a taught level. So when a student is coming in to study a master's in, let's say, data science and analytics, we already have fantastic research in AI and data analytics ongoing. So that's really informing then the taught program that these students are coming into. So it's never stale. It's never old information. They're always working on the latest research and being taught about the latest research that exists at UCC. Now, moving on to a different topic, which is career services. So we know that when students choose to study internationally and take up a program in an international university, really they're on a career trajectory, okay? And it's about, okay, where will I be in X number of years? How is this undergrad, postgraduate program going to help me achieve my career goals? We know that, so we have an award-winning career services team at UCC to support students on that journey. And it's about transitioning into the university, transitioning through it, and out of the university into employment or onto further study. So we have a fantastic progression rate. So 90% of undergraduates consistently enter employment or continue on to further study. We have aligned all of our career services with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Why is that important? Because when students enter into the workforce, they're already thinking about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and their employers are looking for people who have that alignment and that mindset. We run recruitment fairs throughout the year for students to be introduced to employers. These are international employers based in Ireland and also international employers that come to our campus to seek graduates. We work very closely with employers in Ireland. They take over our social media. 90% of our programs offer placements, both internationally and nationally. So an undergrad student is safe in the knowledge that in year 3, they're either going to be spending the full year or 6 months of the year in a placement. And then we run a number of workshops, talks, skills sessions throughout the academic year to support students. Even before a student steps foot on campus, they're introduced to their career objectives. So when they get an offer and when they pay their deposit, they're sent an invite to join a program called Propel. This allows them to answer queries and direct their focus into the types of employment they may be interested in post-study. So they haven't even started at UCC and we're already engaging with them about their careers. Also introducing them to how employers in Ireland recruit. So is it different to applying for a job in India, for example, as opposed to applying for a job in Ireland? What are the nuances internationally that international students need to be aware of? So we're giving you that heads up before you even come to UCC. And then while you're here, you'll fine tune it. At the end of the day, the student needs to go out and find that job themselves. They're responsible for their own career, but we will give them the tools to be a better version for each of those interviews. So it's not all about study. So students do get an opportunity to have some fun while they're here. And we have 53 sports clubs on campus and over 100 societies. So regardless of what you're interested in, whether it's the Harry Potter Society or whether it's cricket, there's something really there for you to enjoy. And UCC is ranked number 1 in Ireland amongst international students for our sports facilities. And you would have seen an image earlier on of our sports arena, which is very well used by all of our students. So a little bit about Cork City, right, where the university is based. So it's a vibrant, cosmopolitan city. It's also very diverse. So I think the diversity in the city matches the diversity on campus, so that when a student leaves campus and walks around the city, they're encountering the same level of diversity and safety that they would see on campus. We're Ireland's second largest city, as I mentioned earlier, a UNESCO learning city since 2015, one of Europe's capitals of culture, so a huge focus on cultural events throughout the year, whether that's sport, theatre, music, film. Throughout the year, there are different festivals that students get involved in and enjoy. One of the safest cities in the world, second friendliest city in Europe, ranked by Condé Nast, surrounded by stunning countryside and coastline. So You can jump in a car, you can jump on a bus, and you can be at the Atlantic Ocean in 25 minutes. And having access to a beach, these blue flag beaches near such a cosmopolitan city, is a real plus from a lifestyle perspective. And we do promote that balance between study and rest. So students do get that opportunity to explore the countryside and explore the rest of Ireland as well. And obviously, it's a 15-minute cab ride from the university to Cork International Airport, and that gets a fantastic accessibility out through into the hubs of the UK and out beyond. So, for example, if I was travelling to Lahore tomorrow, I'd go probably Cork, London, London, Lahore. So it's a very easy transit in for students. Same Lagos, London, London, Cork. So very easy. It's just one stop to get to us. So the Cork population is about 500,000. So small from an international perspective, but large from an Irish perspective. So it's a very young city. So 50% of the population is under 35 years of age. Ireland's second city, located on the south coast, direct access to the EU markets. Ireland and Cork are ideally situated. We kind of see ourselves as the pivot between the Americas and the Asia Pacific markets. So, you know, in the morning, like we're doing now, we're engaging with the East. Come the end of the day, we'll be engaging with the West. So our day spans the globe, and it gives us that opportunity to engage with many regions. And again, just 2.5 hours from Dublin. Now, within the corporate sector and from an employability perspective, there's some really strong clusters of activity that take place in Cork. In particular, ICT, pharma, cybersecurity, energy, financial services, maritime, and agri-food. I would say, you know, top four there: ICT, pharma, financial services, and the food sector would be the key ones. Industry clusters are supported by world-class research groups and centres of excellence. So the example I'll give here is Dell have their European headquarters here in Cork City. They employ over 5,000 people in that centre, many of which are UCC graduates. But it's also their global centre of excellence. So when they roll out a new product or a new process, it's developed here in Cork and then rolled out globally. And then UCC is the partner as an academic partner for that activity. So it gives us real access to global centres of excellence. And these companies benefit then from our students and our graduates. So Ireland's second centre for financial services, but we would do a lot of dual initiatives with Dublin when we're dealing internationally. And then the life science cluster, which is very important and is one of the biggest employers, it includes pharmaceutical, biopharma, and the medical device sector. And then over 50 global tech companies have a presence here in Cork, both manufacturing and services. So, for example, you know, Apple have their European headquarters here. Not only is it a manufacturing, not only are they making iPhones and iPads, but they're also servicing Apple's billing. Apple's European HR team is here. So there's also the allied services along with the manufacturing. So because of that relationship and that high profile of corporate activity in Cork, UCC is a key partner. And we really appreciate and understand the importance of being partnered with those companies. So we have collaboration at the center of everything we do, whether that's collaborating with industry on a project for a student, for recruiting students, for graduate programs that students go on, but also for research. So, you know, that our biochemistry labs are working with Pfizer on research initiatives. And you can see it's across a number of different verticals. So IT, food, civil society, policy, financial services, energy, and health. right across the board, we have those relationships. And we keep those relationships strong, again, in order to deliver on what I mentioned earlier in relation to research, employment opportunities. When a student is doing their dissertation, they're working with one of these companies to do it. So it's real life. And then they end up working with them. And that can only happen because we maintain that good relationship. Now, all of our students who apply internationally are applicable for international scholarships. So they're all automatic. So there's no separate application required for these students for an international scholarship. So when a student, and they're merit-based, so it's based on how high the student's GPA is. So for example, if someone is applying for computing science, and I know every different country has a different grading scale, but let's just keep it simple with a GPA out of 4. So if a student has a 3.2 out of 4 as an example, then they will be entitled to a 20% fee reduction on the fee. Or if they're at a 2.8 out of 4, they will get a 10% fee reduction. So it's merit-based and it's automatic. So you don't need to worry about applying for it. When the student presents their grades, the offer letter will include the scholarship. But again, the information is available to hand on our website. Now, we do expect students who do not have English as their mother tongue to present with an English language certificate. We accept many forms of certification. Students can do a pre-sessional at UCC if they wish to come earlier than their program starts, but we also accept Duolingo, IELTS, TOEFL, Cambridge, and Pearson. And on average, it's the equivalent, you'll be familiar with this, of a 6.5 IELTS in order to get into any of our programs. There are a few exceptions where sometimes it might be a 7.0, but there are very few exceptions. In general, a 6.5 IELTS is what's required or equivalent. We do have a language centre on campus, so any students that require an uplift in their language skill can attend any of these programs available to students before they start a program or even during a program if they want to further improve their English, particularly from a professional perspective. Maybe they want to improve technical English above the 6.5. Now, our entry requirements are, are different depending on where the student is coming through from. Okay, so you'll all be familiar with that. Because we have a varied audience on this call, I'll talk about it in a general space. At an undergrad level, all of our undergrad programs fall into 3 levels of competitiveness. So something like astrophysics will be a band 1 program, commerce will be a band 2, and maybe something like history will be a band 3. Depending on the students' high school results, they will be higher depending on the band. Okay, so the higher results are required for the band 1 programs. Again, all that information is available on our website. I won't go into too much detail here, but no surprises and aligned with international standards. Postgraduate, all of our postgraduate programs are either a 2-1 or a 2-2 requirement. So again, we do the equivalence check for you. But again, on our website, before you would apply for a student, you would check to see, does your student meet the minimum entry before you apply? So that we're not going down a disappointing road, that you're only putting UCC as an option for students that meet the minimum requirement. And again, we're very flexible, and UCC has this thing called RPL, which is recognized prior learning. So if a student is, say, on the threshold of a minimum requirement, then in some cases, and again, specific programs, we will look at work experience. So if a student has been working for 2 or 3 years in that field, then that will certainly support their application. Now, for students that do not meet our minimum entry requirement for UCC, then students can take an international foundation year. These are 3 partners that we work with. You can see some of these are global brands. So students have a channel to come through. So I'm sure you'll be familiar with these foundation programs. And that is a very quick overview of UCC. Again, I said it was quite high level, but I kind of gave you a flavor for it. So I would think if there was a couple of takeaways that I would encourage you to come away with would be UCC has a very broad range of demand-led programs available for students internationally, supported by excellence in research. We have a very strong link to industry, which supports employment of our graduates. And we're based in a UNESCO learning city, a safe environment that gives students access to employment and also onward into whether it's a springboard into Europe, stay in Ireland, or moving to the US. But a very cosmopolitan city for a student to study in. So folks, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully I've given you a flavor, and we're happy to take any questions that you have. So back over to you, Merwin.
Thanks, Michael, for that amazing presentation. I know I learned a lot about UCC. I had a fantastic time when we met on campus. It was an amazing campus, beautiful green campus, and really looking forward to our students enrolling at UCC and enriching that part of their career. We have a couple of questions. We have a couple of questions about very, very high level requirements, admission requirements. I don't know if you'd be able to answer them, but with admission requirements for students who are currently enrolled in the IB program. So the IB points that are required for students to get direct entry, and if possible, get information and then on the pathway option.
Yeah. So excellent question. So we do accept IB, International Baccalaureate, as direct entry into our undergraduate programs. As a guide, I would say, and I talked about those 3 bands, band 1, band 2, and band 3. As a guide, I would say 36 points, 32 points, and 28 points. Okay. So if someone wants to do pharmacy, for example, or astrophysics, they would need 36 points, plus also some specific program subjects. So they may have to have done chemistry and maybe maths in their IB. But again, that information, Merwin, is on the program page. So for each of the programs, it'll specify what the IB score required is and if there's a specific subject requirement as well. So yes, we absolutely want to see IB students.
Amazing. Thanks, Michael. So for our recruitment partners, again, so while we do provide that information on our Apply Board program page as well, you are more than welcome to create a profile and search for University College Cork on applyboard.com. And if your students are eligible, you will be definitely be able to apply for them. If you're not able to find options, please get in touch with your regional account manager and they'll be able to help you with the next steps. I have a question from Nigeria. Is English proficiency waived for international students from Nigeria?
So there are some exceptions for specific countries, and again, they're listed on our website. I don't want to go and find it now, but what I can do, Merwin, is that I can share with you that specific link to our website that lists the countries where there is an exemption from. So I know that there's many countries around the world where English is an official first language as well as a local language. So, but that list is available on the website. So Merwin, I'll send that directly to you and you can share it with the audience.
Thanks, Michael. Next question is, what is the tuition fee deposit for undergrad and postgraduate courses?
So the deposit is the same for both undergraduate and postgraduate, where there's €1,000 required to secure your seat. So when you accept, you pay €1,000 deposit.
Thanks.
And obviously that deposit is refundable if the student doesn't meet their entry requirements, or they don't get the English language certificate, or they don't get their visa.
Okay. I have a question here also about, can international students apply to language school without applying for an academic program?
They can indeed, yeah. So they can
Can they
apply for a
apply for-
standalone English language program, or they can do an English language program and an academic program, but they can apply for a standalone English language program. And then that's a different application route.
All right. Thanks, Michael. A few more questions about the English language exemptions on base of nationality, that you will provide the list and we can provide that with our partners. In terms of, so this is a South Asia specific questions in terms of backlogs requirements, so number of fails that are accepted for postgraduate students.
So the backlog assessment is an admissions activity. So they look at it, but I can say that if there is no more than 10 backlogs in the history of the degree program, and once they're all cleared by the point of admissions, then that's fine. They need to be cleared by the point of application and no more than 10.
Okay. Thanks for that number. We have a question about the total number of international students. I did see that on the slide was 24,000 international students.
So 24,000 students and 4,000 international students.
4,000 international students.
4,000, yeah. So it's about 16%.
Perfect. How many from India, and what type of courses do they usually opt for?
So I would say there's probably maybe, of the 4,000, there's probably maybe 500 approximately from India, and they're studying various programs, undergraduate, postgraduate, and they're in our 4 colleges. So they're studying humanities, they're studying STEM programs, business programs, health programs, public health is very popular. So across the board, because it's such a large cohort that it's a varied interest.
Okay, there's a very different question. Does University College Cork accept the Navitas as the Navitas degree as a pathway qualification to get into undergraduate?
So all foundation programs are assessed. So the 3 that I had up, which was NCUK, Griffith, and On Campus, we recognize on our website. But we also receive ad hoc foundation programs from other sources, and they would need to be assessed by our admissions team. So I would say if someone has done Navitas, and if the student or the counsellor feels that Navitas is the equivalent of, say, On Campus or NCUK, then they should apply to be assessed.
Okay. Thanks for that. I have another question in terms of seat capacity. Since UCC has only one intake, how competitive is it to get into a master's program, especially the IT courses?
So some of the programs are way more competitive than others, right? So, and some programs fill within, say, by Christmas. So we'll open for applications each year in October for the following September. I would say that if you're interested in a program that is competitive, so something like an IT program, then you should apply early. Okay, even if you get a conditional offer, you should apply early so that you're in the system. Some programs, so from a seat capacity perspective, if that's the question, some programs do fill early, so they're full by Christmas. So apply early, apply in October. We have one intake each year, which is in September.
What is the maximum age limit for a bachelor applicant?
We don't have a maximum age limit.
Yeah. Do you accept a year gap for undergraduate applicants?
Yeah, absolutely. So a year gap is fine. In fact, sometimes it supports their application, particularly if they've gone and worked for that year, but they don't necessarily have to work. So a year gap between school and undergrad is not a problem for us.
I do have a couple of questions about dependents accompanying main applicants as well. As we all know that Ireland does not allow dependents to come along with the main applicant during the course of study. So I will move on to a couple of other questions is on, MOI, except does University College Cork accept minimum of instruction letters?
What's the
This is
MOI? Mode of instruction?
MOI. Yeah, I think this is a letter used for UK universities. There's a minimum instruction where English was used as during their course of during the undergraduate degree.
So we don't accept the MOI letter, right? But what we do assess is if a student has studied through the medium of English in an English-speaking country for at least 1 year, then they may be exempt from providing an English language cert. But again, that needs to be assessed. Like we don't say yes, of course. If you've studied 1 year of your undergraduate in the UK, then you're eligible to enter into a program in Ireland. You may not have developed your English in that 1 year, so it would need to be assessed by the admissions team. Look, my recommendation is that students should get the English language cert wherever possible.
Absolutely. Michael, could you throw some light on accommodation options for students for on campus?
So like any other university city, accommodation can be tight, right? There are 3 different types of accommodation. There is university-owned accommodation, okay? That's owned by the university, mainly to suit undergraduates for their first time abroad. We have private accommodation, and that is dedicated to the university. That's not owned by the university, but we do have block bookings with those private institutes or those private companies. And then we have private accommodation that's not linked to the university, and students would apply to them directly. When a student gets an offer letter, there's a link on the offer letter bringing them to the UCC residential services team to help them find the right accommodation for them. So there is an accommodation support team to help students. The students that apply early for accommodation have the best choice to suit their budget, okay? Every international student was placed in accommodation last year in either their first or second choice. Students need to have the budget available if they apply late, because sometimes the more expensive accommodation options are available later. So my recommendation is when you get your offer letter from UCC and you pay your deposit, then at that point you should be paying a deposit on an accommodation option, not waiting until spring or the summer to find accommodation. So it's the age-old recommendation of getting things done early.
Thanks, Michael. We also have a question on the tuition fee payment. So once the €1,000 deposit is paid, when do students have to pay the balance tuition?
So essentially, there's 3 different payments, 3 steps. Step 1 is the deposit of €1,000. Step 2 is the balance of 50% of the total, and that's paid by the 1st of August. And then the remaining 50% of the fee is paid by the end of January. So let's imagine that a program is €20,000. 1,000 is paid early to secure your place whenever you apply. 9,000 is paid by the 1st of August, and 10,000 is paid by the end of January.
Thanks. Could you also throw some light on possible part-time job opportunities in and around Cork?
Yeah, so there's really like that's the bread and butter of a lot of the service industry in Cork and retail. So they rely on students in UCC to fulfill a lot of the part-time opportunities. So there's lots of work. Now on campus, there's certain limited part-time jobs on campus, but really most of our students work in the city in part-time roles, whether that's in retail, in the service industry like restaurants, cafes, and that's really where the part-time work can be picked up. Look, we do encourage students to work if needs be because they enjoy it from a cultural perspective and obviously from a financial perspective, but the focus is on study.
Absolutely. There's also a request to guide on scholarship for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. Michael did share a slide specifically on scholarships. We will share that deck with you once the webinar is
there is a specific link, Merwin. There's a link into the scholarships that I will send to you, and again you can share it.
Absolutely. And then we'll take two more questions. I think this one is from might be from Sri Lanka. Are mature applicants accepted with professional qualifications for the master's program? So these are essentially students who have done the accounting or their CIM programs. Will that be assessed alongside with their postgraduate application?
Absolutely, yes. So in particular, our business school, I mentioned this thing RPL earlier, recognized prior learning. So number one, there isn't an age limit on when someone can apply. Okay, full stop. Someone needs to apply for a program, you need to have the academic attributes. Okay, so if you want to apply for a master's program, you need to have a bachelor's, right? If your bachelor's is borderline score-wise, then you can use your work experience to demonstrate your ability in that area. So particularly in the business school, there's a lot of recognized prior learning supporting applications. So I would encourage anyone who's a mature applicant to really look at the UCC's business school entry requirements and take it from there. But I would encourage them to really investigate this thing called RPL, recognized prior learning.
Fantastic. The last question is, does UCC offer dentistry programs at the graduate level?
So we have a dental school that takes students into undergraduate. There is a graduate program in dentistry. So that is graduate. Sorry, so it's GEM and DEM, dental entry graduate. Yeah, so there's graduate entry in. So if you've done, say, your undergrad in biochemistry, and you want to go now and do an undergraduate in dentistry, you can as a graduate. Okay, if there's students looking for level 9 master's programs in dentistry, then they're also available. They tend to be in MRes, so a master's by research in dentistry. Also, public dental health is available as a master's. So there are level 9 programs available to graduates of dentistry. But as I said, you can also go into the graduate school in dentistry.
Okay. I think we have couple of more questions. I think we still have a couple of minutes. Maybe I can take a few more questions.
That's fine.
Yeah. This is specific. I think this is for Pakistan. The student has done a 2-year bachelor's in Pakistan, and with a 10-year gap, will they be assessed can they be assessed for postgraduate programs?
So a 2-year bachelor's degree, is it?
Yeah.
So the majority of our applicants would have either 3 or 4 years bachelor's degree. And again, I would encourage, particularly for any of the countries that students are in or that counsellors are in, look at the country-specific entry requirements on our website. So I'll give it like a very simple, open up Google, put in, or you can go to the Apply Board landing page and you'll find the same information. But if you just do UCC postgraduate Pakistan, it'll bring you right to that page. I mean, I think that's from Mohammed Zubair. So he could do that today and find that answer, you know. But again, the Apply Board landing page will have that information.
I think that's about it for all the major questions. Basma, you say you can't find the program on Apply Board. I will take this up once the webinar is done and shoot it along to you via your account manager. I think Michael, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for being part of our Ireland University Spotlight. We look forward to getting more students in for the 2024 September intake. And yeah, thank you again.
No problem at all. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you and to such a varied, comprehensive audience. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And we hope to see your students in Cork enjoying studies at UCC and onward employment, which is our key. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Recording.